when you really start to understand how powerful chiropractic is and how much it's actually optimizing your day-to-day function. So the cerebellum integrates this proprioceptive input from the muscle spindles, the Golgi tendon organs, and the joint mechanoreceptors to create this highly accurate map of body position, load, timing, and movement. What this means is when the prefrontal cortex is functioning appropriately, this improves a lot of things that we commonly notice in chiropractic care. Sharper focus, better emotional regulation, calmer responses, clearer thinking, improved productivity. The brain literally tells everything what to do, how to move, how to function, how to eat, for your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe. Everything comes from your brain sending signals down your body. Hello everyone, welcome back to Health and Wellness. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Philip McBride, and today is going to be a good day. I love what I'm going to be talking about today. So today I have a lot of research, I have a lot of notes, and a lot of things that I've talked to patients about specifically in Lunch and Learn, but I will be talking about how chiropractic care influences the brain. Super fascinating information. And if you're new to this podcast, so the whole purpose of this podcast is to give educational information about health so people understand that you can take action over your own health. And what I mean by this is, I say it all the time, some people, they don't understand the difference between what pleases the ear and what the actual truth is. And when you get that knowledge, it empowers you to actually take action and take control over what you actually can take control over. So I hope that something that I say today, whatever it might be, can resonate with the listener so they can take control over their health and become the person and the version of themselves that God designed them to be. So let's dive right into it. So today I want to talk about how chiropractic care influences the brain. And when we talk about chiropractic, its purpose is fundamentally neurological. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I think it's about neck pain and back pain, but it really is about rewiring the brain. So it's about supporting and strengthening the brain-body connection. So we see wide ranges of changes of improvements with chiropractic care, and these outcomes are directly tied to what's happening within the nervous system. So this is something that's important to understand. So there's so much to cover. However, I won't be able to go into everything today, but I'm so excited about this that I'm just going to record this entire video, and I'm probably going to split this into 2 different episodes. So if I don't finish everything today, you'll see the second half later on. But today, what I'm going to be diving into most likely is the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. And if I end up splitting it up, the next episode will be speaking about cortical cerebellar prefrontal integration. I'll go a little bit more in detail why this is important. And then neurochemical modulation. So let's get into it. So first off, if you're new, a lot of people, they don't necessarily know what chiropractic is. So what we do as chiropractors is we identify and remove subluxations. Subluxations being vertebral fixations in the spine that affect neurological and physiological functioning in the body. So a subluxation interferes with the brain's ability to accurately interpret what's happening inside the body and in the environment around it. So this occurs because of normal signals that should be sent by these receptor cells in the spine, spinal joints, disc, ligaments, paraspinal muscles. All of these things, they become distorted and inaccurate, right? So these receptor cells, they're constantly informing the brain about movement, balance, position, tension, and coordination. And when that input is altered by spinal fixations, the brain is forced to make decisions based on incomplete or inaccurate information. So understand that the brain is a complex structure made up of so many different regions that control so many different functions. So one of the most important areas influenced by this altered sensory input from a chiropractic adjustment is the prefrontal cortex. So this region of the brain, it plays a major role in focus, decision-making, emotional regulation, pain processing, movement organization, and in general, just how efficiently the body works together as a coordinated system. So what's especially powerful is that we can actually measure these brain changes from chiropractic adjustments. So in 2015, research study conducted in Denmark. Participants were divided into a chiropractic adjustment group and then a sham fake chiropractic group. And what I mean by this is they received just random spinal manipulations, I believe. So what they did is, after 2 interventions, so 2 chiropractic adjustments, they recorded the brain activity. They used the EEG, and the group that received real chiropractic care showed clear and measurable increases in brain activity, increasing up to 20%, while the sham, the fake chiropractic group, they got no meaningful changes. This is so cool. But 2 things that make this study especially impactful is, first is, this wasn't the first time that this was found. So these same neurological findings have been found before. This is actually the 4th time that these same neurological findings have been published in a well-respected research journal. And another cool thing about that is this research wasn't conducted by chiropractors, it was conducted by different medical doctors. So showing that these results were consistent, repeatable, and free from chiropractic bias. But then secondly, that EEG that they used, it has 64 individual electrodes across the entire head. And what this allowed the researchers to do is pinpoint exactly where these brain changes were happening. And the greatest changes were found in exactly what I'm talking about right now, the prefrontal cortex. So a specific chiropractic adjustment, it rapidly increases high quality proprioceptive input from spinal joint and muscle mechanoreceptors to the central nervous system. So this improved sensory input is processed through the spinal cord. So not only that, it's processed through the spinal cord, the cerebellum, and the thalamus, and then it's integrated into the prefrontal cortex. So the result is reduced abnormal inhibition, improved sensory-motor integration, and overall increased prefrontal cortex activation, meaning that the brain gains a clearer, more accurate control over perception, movement, and regulation. This is so cool. So neurons communicate through precise electrical and chemical firing patterns that allow thought, reflexes, posture, and movement. So the cerebellum integrates its proprioceptive input from the muscle spindles, the Golgi tendon organs, and the joint mechanoreceptors to create this highly accurate map of body position, load, timing, and movement. So this is a lot of things, a lot of nerdy things, but the cerebellar maps is intact with the sensory-motor cortex and thalamus to refine movement execution. So while also feeding forward into the prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive center is responsible for planning, focus, decision-making, emotional regulation, and multitasking. So together, the cerebellum, the cortex, the prefrontal cortex, it forms tightly linked cerebellar loops that allow smooth coordination between thinking and movement. So, I mean, this is a lot of things, but what does this mean in real life, in real terms, in simple terms? What this means is when the prefrontal cortex is functioning appropriately, this improves a lot of things that we commonly notice in chiropractic care. Sharper focus, better emotional regulation, calmer responses, clearer thinking, improved productivity. And then at the same time, these brain-based changes are directly connected to improvements in physical control and stability, including improved sensory-motor function, better joint position sense, increased muscle strength, improved pelvic floor control, and better spatial awareness, meaning a greater accuracy of balance and confidence in movement. So together, this shows that spinal function, sensory input, and brain performance, they're all deeply connected. And then by improving spinal motion, removing subluxation and fixation in the spine, this influences not just how you feel, but how your brain and body function as a coordinated, intelligent system. Wow, this is so cool, so fascinating, so much fascinating information. So that's just one area of your brain, that's your prefrontal cortex. So now let's dive into the hippocampus. The hippocampus, it organizes, retrieves memories, including spatial, contextual, and learn information, and it acts as the brain's filing system. This is always how I explain it to patients, and I'll explain that in a minute because it's pretty cool how it works out. So it acts as the brain's filing system, keeping relevant data accessible for decision-making and daily function. So There's actually a study that shows these two specific regions of the brain and how they work together, and they're linked together after chiropractic adjustments. So one is the posterior cingulate cortex. So this is a hub of pretty much a default mode network. So it's involved in memory, attention, and self-awareness. And then the posterior cingulate cortex is linked to hippocampus-related regions. And the hippocampus, like I said, is responsible for memory formation, spatial navigation, and integrating sensory information. So what this study shows is that what an adjustment does, a precise chiropractic adjustment, it strengthens the communication between the posterior cingulate cortex and these hippocampal networks. So if hippocampal input is disrupted, what this looks like is the brain struggles to recall important information. Tasks requiring memory or context, it starts to become confusing. Mental clarity is reduced, and it's pretty much like that filing office I was describing. It's like it's emptied, it's messy, there's no documents that can be found. That's what's happening when this hippocampal input is disrupted. Now, let's speak about the subluxations again, all right? So like I said, that's what chiropractors do. We remove subluxations. So when a subluxation is present, the sensory input coming from the spine becomes distorted. So mechanoreceptors, muscle splinters, the joint receptors, they stop sending clean, accurate information to the brain. Instead, the signal becomes noisy and incomplete, and its disruption reaches the hippocampus. So inside, let's get a little nerdy for a second. So inside the hippocampus are these CA circuits. So these are also called cornu amonis. And I always call them CA circuits. I never even say the full word. But these circuits help the brain organize experience and decide what information belongs where, so it can be used later on. So when the input feeding these circuits is distorted, they can't fire in a clear, coordinated way. So right along these CA circuits is a structure in your brain. It's called the dentate gyrus. So its job is to separate similar memories and experience so that they don't overlap. So it helps the brain tell the difference between things like what feels almost the same, yesterday versus today, or one conversation versus another, or one familiar face versus another familiar face, right? So when the CA circuits are disrupted in the dentate gyrus, it loses this precision. Similar memories, they begin to blend together. So instead of staying distinct, so things that happened yesterday and today, they become confusing. Does that make sense? So this shows up as mixed details, slower recall, confusion between similar events, or even familiar situations that feel harder to place or reorganize in the moment. So chiropractic adjustments, so like I said, chiropractic adjustments do so much neurologically. They restore this proper joint motion and normalize the mechanoreceptor firing. So with clear, accurate sensory input returning to the brain, these CA circuits regain coordinated firing, which allows this dentate gyrus that I was just speaking about to do its job efficiently again. Experiences are separated cleanly, stored accurately, and they're pulled up when needed without overlap or any kind of confusion. So, in short, when the input is clear, the system can tell similar things apart again, and everything feels sharper, more organized, and easier to access. So, I don't know who my audience is, but I'm hoping you guys have seen or at least heard of the show SpongeBob. And the reason why is because there's this one episode and it explains how the hippocampus works better than anything else. So for those who don't know, so SpongeBob is the main character. He has a neighbor. His name is Squidward, and he also works with him at this super basic restaurant. It's called the Krusty Krab. So in one episode, Squidward, he runs into his high school arch nemesis. His name is Squilliam. And give you guys an example of, or just an idea of who Squilliam is. He's like this rich, popular dude. He has this whole posse in the back, kind of just like a fan crew. A very bougie individual, just to kind of give you a picture. And when he meets Squidward in a very condescending way, he pretty much asks Squidward, what has he done with his life? And then Squidward panics and he lies to his teeth and he says, oh, he owns a 5-star restaurant, which he doesn't. Like I said, he works with SpongeBob at this very basic restaurant. So Squilliam's pretty much, he says, okay, cool, I'll go visit you. And he has his posse in the back, and he turns to them, he's like, my treat. So they're all gonna come to this restaurant. So Squidward says, okay, cool, whatever, but then he sprints back to the Krusty Krab, that basic restaurant, and he tries to turn it into a full-blown operation to turn it into a 5-star restaurant. So he gets all these people together, he tries to assign all of these roles, and everyone has a very specific job. So let's talk about SpongeBob's job. So SpongeBob's job is he's supposed to be the fancy waiter. And for those who've seen SpongeBob, it's no surprise, but SpongeBob doesn't know what a waiter is. Nonetheless, a fancy waiter. So Squidward, he hands him this book. It's called something like How to Be a Waiter in 20 Minutes. And SpongeBob tries to memorize all of this and be ready by the night, but it's just way too much information. So he starts stressing out and he gets completely overwhelmed. So then Squidward has to come, he has to jump in, he's trying to help him relax. And he tells him to clear his mind of everything except things that have to do with fine dining. And this part of the episode was brilliant. This is why this episode always comes to my mind. So stay with me now. So what we see in the episode is the camera zooms into SpongeBob's brain. So as the audience, you can see what's happening in his brain. And you can clearly tell you're inside of his brain, but it's like a filing office, like I was saying before. So you see literally hundreds of mini SpongeBobs working at their computers, seeing all these filing cabinets in the background. But then you see one mini SpongeBob, almost like the manager or the leader, and he comes and he announces, just got an order from the boss, dump everything that isn't about fine dining. Then chaos starts. So you see all of these mini SpongeBob, they start hustling. They're emptying out filing cabinets, they're yanking them open. Files are becoming shredded, burned, trashed, tossed everywhere. And you actually see these files names. So if you've never seen SpongeBob, so one activity SpongeBob likes to do is called jellyfishing. You see this file name called jellyfishing begin to get shredded. You guys following along with me? So you also see things like childhood memories. You see that get shredded. You see all these important things get burned and all of them get dumped. So take that information and fast forward. So spoiler alert from the episode. So it does turn into a pretty fancy restaurant, 5-star restaurant that has like a water fountain, a live orchestra, and like the whole thing, everything, a top-notch restaurant. But Squilliam comes in with his posse and he is shocked. And not only is he shocked, he's very impressed, but he's especially impressed with SpongeBob's service because he learned how to be a fancy waiter. So what he does is he pulls SpongeBob aside and he says how incredible his service was, and then he asks him, "What is your name?" At this moment in the episode, you see SpongeBob freeze. I think he starts shaking and twitching at this point, and everyone's asking like, "Hey, are you okay? Hey, just tell him your name." And then what we do is we cut back and view inside what's happening in SpongeBob's brain. So as the audience, you're seeing what's happening now, and you're seeing more chaos. All these mini SpongeBobs sprinting around in every single direction, filing cabinets being ripped open again. They're all empty. People are scrolling through their computers trying to look for different files and things like that. They're panicking, screaming, running, desperately searching for something incredibly important. And they realize they threw out his name. So this episode perfectly, it literally couldn't be more perfect, paints the picture of how the hippocampal regions within your brain actually work, right? I hope you guys stayed with me through that, right? It's so cool, it's so fascinating. So understand that subluxations in the spine are purely the result of how your brain and nervous system adapt to what's happening within your body and the environment that you're surrounded in. So subluxations send disruptive signals to the brain, and if your environment you are present in, if it creates a disrupted signal and an inaccurate signal to the brain, for example, a signal like directing your brain to dump all important memories, then your brain will respond. So yes, your brain is still working, it's still functioning, but it's not functioning optimally because the brain is compensating for this miscommunication and not thriving in the way that it should. So, and it isn't even until the first symptom, which, by the way, a symptom of dysfunction that accumulates over time, this eventually leads to disease. And symptoms are the last thing that pop up. But again, it's not until this first symptom that it becomes evident that there's dysfunction that's present. Like when SpongeBob started freaking out by attempting to give a normal response of telling Squilliam what his name was. So, back to the chiropractic adjustment. A chiropractic adjustment is like sending a clear signal to the mini SpongeBobs or the mini you running around in your brain. So instead of dumping everything, it's telling the brain to reorganize the office, put the files back in the correct drawer, and adapt accessibility to these files so you know what you need to pull during daily function and things that pop up on a regular basis. So now SpongeBob, or you and your brain, can access these memories, answer questions, and process this information efficiently. This is like I said, so all these results and all these things that you see in chiropractic care is because of everything that's neurologically going on within the brain. So the main explanation, this is the main explanation of why you see patients under chiropractic care experience things like improved memory recall, faster learning and cognitive clarity, reduced mental confusion or brain fog, and even better focus and ability to retrieve information. So again, super fascinating stuff when you really start to understand how powerful chiropractic is and how much it's actually optimizing your day-to-day function. And keep in mind that this is only two very specific areas of the brain, which is bar none the most important and complex organ in your entire body. Your brain literally tells everything what to do, how to move, how to function, how to eat, for your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe. Everything comes from your brain sending signals down your body. So there's honestly so much more that we could dive into, but I wanted to condense this down into 4 key areas. So obviously I just talked about 2 today. I'll break down the final 2 in the next episode. So if you enjoyed things like this, if you enjoy nerding out to this kind of stuff, I like nerding out to these kind of things. I enjoy doing videos like this all of the time. But if you do, make sure you subscribe, follow, leave a like, drop a comment, all of that, so more people who think this way can find and actually gain access to this information. But that's going to be it for today. Again, I am going to dive into the other 2 in the next video, but I hope you guys all enjoyed. For now, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.